Hey friends, in this video we're going to be checking out the 5 brand new face commanders that are leading the March of the Machines pre-constructed commander decks. They were just previewed today and I'm super psyched to check them out and give my first impression. But before we begin, 2 quick reminders. First, if you want to pre-order these sweet new cards or just buy any Magic the Gathering related products, you can head on over to our sponsor, cardkingdom.com/mtggoldfish, and be sure to ask for a scoop sticker in the order notes. And number 2, you can always like and subscribe to help the channel grow. It really helps us out. Alright, we begin with the face commander of the pre-constructed deck that MTG Goldfish has the opportunity to showcase next week. This is Brimaz, Blight of Oreskos. He is the leader of an Orzhov deck. It's 2, 1 white, 1 black for a 3/4 legendary creature Phyrexian Cat that has 2 abilities. Whenever you cast a Phyrexian creature or artifact creature spell, incubate X, where X is that spell's mana value. And Incubate is a brand new mechanic that's coming with the set. Create an Incubator token with X +1/+1 counters on it and has pay 2 mana, transform this artifact. It transforms into a 0/0 Phyrexian artifact creature. And at the beginning of each end step, if a Phyrexian died under your control this turn, proliferate. So Brimaz is the Phyrexian tribal leader that we've never had up until this point. Whenever you're casting a Phyrexian creature or artifact creature spell, you get to incubate, which basically just puts an artifact token on the battlefield, much like, Lonus makes clues, or the food commander, I think, maybe like Yomi makes food tokens. This one just poops out incubator tokens just as you're casting the cards in your deck. And then you can pay 2 mana and turn them into very large beaters. This is going to be incredibly powerful, and it's going to have a lot of artifact synergies and a lot of just like big smashy synergies that I'm super excited to get my hands on and play with. And the second ability, whenever an Phyrexian dies under your control this turn, proliferate, this just grows your incubated Phyrexian tokens. So what do I expect with Brimaz? Well, I expect to do all the typical artifact token shenanigans that you do with a clue deck or a food deck. Stuff like Inspiring Statuary basically turns into the greatest artifact ramp in your entire deck, because most of your spells are not going to necessarily have to be artifact spells. So Inspiring Statuary can just like tap all your incubator tokens for mana, and it's just absolutely ridiculous. And there's a lot of Phyrexian cards that work really well with Brimaz. 2 notable ones that came out recently are Mondrak Glory Dominance, which was going to double the amount of incubator tokens you're making Brimaz, and Drivnot is going to double the triggered ability, the death triggered ability of Brimaz as well. There's so many Phyrexians that just happen to randomly be very good, like Massacre Worm, Bone Shredder is also very good with Brimaz, for example. It's just a lot of really good Phyrexians out there that you could just jam in Brimaz, and they now have that extra value of incubating. So it's an artifact deck, it's a Phyrexian deck, it merges the two in a very, very cool way. And like I said, we have the pre-con. We're going to be showcasing it next week, Tuesday, I believe, at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. We're going to show the full deck list, and I'm super excited to share with you all the cards that we have in this deck list. I think it's really, really cool, and thanks to Wizards of the Coast for letting us do this. All right, moving on, we have Bright Palm Soul Awakener. This is a Naya commander. It's 1 a red, white, and a green, so 4 mana total for a 4/3 legendary creature, Fox Shaman, and this also has a brand new set mechanic. It's backup 1. When this creature enters the battlefield, you put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. If that's another creature, it gains the following ability until end of turn. And basically what that means is it's an enter the battlefield trigger. The 1, or the number here, indicates how many +1/+1 counters you put on a target creature. It could be on itself, but generally speaking, you want to put it on a different creature, ideally one without summoning sickness, because if it's another creature, it gains all the rest of those ability texts for the rest of the card. So everything underneath backup 1, whenever this creature attacks, blah, 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 all of that sort of stuff is going to be conferred until end of turn onto this other creature that you put a +1/+1 counter on. The ability that you're going to be using with backup is whenever this creature attacks, double the number of +1/+1 counters on target creature. That creature can't be blocked by creatures with power 2 or less this turn. So this is a great way to grow your creatures and just do a ton of smashy damage. Whenever Bright Palm's attacking, you get to double the amount of counters on it. And whenever the other creature that you back up with this ability until end of turn attacks, you get to double the number of counters on it, and they can't be blocked by power 2 or less, so they can't be chump blocked easily. This is just a great way of adding more counters on stuff and just dealing more damage more efficiently. So what do I expect to do with this? Well, cards that easily, very mana efficiently get a lot of counters on them, like Mana Gorge or Hydra, are going to be fantastic options for Bright Palm because you can double the amount of counters on a Mana Gorge or Hydra. I've usually seen like 10 or more counters on Mana Gorge or Hydra if it's 6 around for like two or more turns. And then it can't be jump blocked, and it has trample, and you're going to basically start one-shotting people pretty easily with this. Agris Cause, another really cool tech with Bright Palm, because you can basically pay 2 mana and turn the backup ability, which just targets one creature. You can have it now target all creatures. And this is also an ETB trigger, the backup ability. So you could throw in some Blink shenanigans like Teleportation Circle to get even more backup value going on in the rest of the game. So yeah, this is a cool like Naya smashy +1/+1 counter style deck, and it looks kind of fun. Next up, we have Gimbal, Gremlin, Prodigy. This is a Teamer Artifacts Matters commander, which I don't think we've ever seen before. So it's 5 mana for a Teamer 4/4 legendary creature, Gremlin Artificer. It says artifact creatures you control have trample. At the beginning of your end step, create a 0/0 red Gremlin artifact creature token and put X +1/+1 counters on it, where X is the number of differently named artifact tokens you control. So let's say you have a food token and a treasure token. You're going to make a 0/0 artifact creature token, and then you're going to put 2 counters on it because you have 2 different artifact token names on the battlefield. So what do I expect to do with this deck? Well, Izzet is primarily the colors of Artifacts Matter. So you already have Izzet colors. And then you have green, which green historically has the least to do with artifacts. And I don't really feel good about it, encroaching on that territory. It kind of feels like having like mono green flying creatures, for example. This feels like not great. And overall, it seems like a weaker Urza Chief Artificer. Urza basically is another 3-color artifact creatures matter type deck. It doesn't count tokens, so this is a new design space, but the end result is it counts a number of... It makes a creature token at end step. It gives a small buff to your creatures. Instead of trample, it gives up menace, and it counts all the artifacts. So I think Urza Chief Artificer is just probably going to be a stronger version of what Gimbal is, but you do trade out white for green, and it does do something different, so it's not strictly worse or anything. Cards that are going to be especially noteworthy in this deck are stuff that can make multiple different kinds of artifact tokens. So Academy Manufacturer, whenever you're casting a clue of, whenever you create a clue of food or a treasure, you create one of each instead. So you make one, and then you make the other 2 remaining. So that works really well with Gimbal. Same thing with Fey Offering, which is a green card that's uniquely good for this artifact deck. It's an easy way to make clues, foods, and treasures. So at the very least, the tokens you're making with Gimbal are going to be 3/3s at minimum with these type of cards on the battlefield. Moving on, we have Sidar, Jabari of Zhalfir. This is an Esper Knights commander. It's a human knight, 4/3 for 4 mana, and it has Eminence, everybody's favorite not broken mechanic, I swear. This time it's fine. Whenever you attack with 1 or more knights, if Sidar Jabari of Zhalfir is in the command zone or on the battlefield, so you don't have to have it casted, it could just be sitting in the command zone and does this. You get to draw a card, then discard a card. This is a very tame version of Eminence. This is not like all your knights cost 1 less or some nonsense like that. This one is like, no, at the maximum, you're going to be drawing a card, then discarding card. You're going to be looting like maximum once per attack phase, which is actually, it's pretty tame. It's pretty tame. Eminence is very scary in general, and this is always going to be very good because it's so easy to have it constantly working, but it's still pretty tame in terms of Eminence in general. And then it also has Flying, First Strike, and whenever it deals combat damage to a player, return target knight creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. And the triggered ability, the combat triggered ability, is actually really, really good, and it makes you want to actually cast Sidar Jabari instead of most Eminence commanders like Edgar Morgov, which is very happy to just sit in the command zone for the entirety of the game and not really care. This one, that combat damage trigger is really, really good. It's just very efficient reanimation. It works really well with double strike, for example, as well, so you can get 2 things back. So yeah, that's a good, I think this is a good balance point for Eminence, and this is my favorite Knight Tribal commander for sure. It's not even close. The other commander that we had before was Ariel, Knight of Windgraves, which was kind of just slow and clunky, and it's only 2 colors. I think Sidar is just going to be better. I mean, even with just with the Eminence is going to be better. And I think this style of Knight deck is going to be different from others because it not necessarily wants you to go wide. It more wants you to just have knights in the graveyard. So you want to loot away knights and then cheat them into play with Sidar Jabari. So you're going to be like a Knight Reanimator style deck, and I think that's very cool. Not only do you want to like discard knights, but if you have like sack outlets, like if you pair Basri's Lieutenant with a sack outlet and have like a +1/+1 counter theme to stuff, you can have the creatures die and then set them up for reanimation with Sidar Jabari. And when they're dying, you make more knights with Basri's Lieutenant's ability. And then there's other like reanimation things that knights can do, like Knight's Charge, which it makes go wide more powerful because it drains your opponents when your knights are attacking. But you can also mass reanimate all your knights that you have in the graveyard by paying 8 mana and sacrificing the enchantment later on in the game. So Knight Reanimator sounds really sweet to me. I'm actually really excited to play this one in particular. It seems like it's going to be a blast and not too obnoxious in terms of Eminence. And moving on, we have Kasla, the Broken Halo. This is a 6 mana Jeskai commander, 5/4 legendary creature, Angel Ally. I'm really confused why it's an ally. Like, it does tie it to Zendikar, but it does nothing an ally would do, I guess. I don't know. I'm very old school where I think allies should be always like ETB triggers and count the number of allies you control. I like, if you looked at this card and you read the card text and I would say what creature types is it, you could probably guess it's an angel, but who would have guessed that this is an ally? I don't know. It's kind of weird to me. Anyway, gripe aside, this is a Convoke commander, which I actually think is really cool. So it itself has Convoke. Your creatures can help cast a spell. Each creature you tap while casting the spell pays for 1 or 1 mana of that creature's color. So if you have at least 1 blue, 1 red, and 1 white creature, and then like 3 other whatever creatures, you can just tap all of them to cast Kasla for 0 mana instead of paying whatever cost. Or you can mix and match however you want. You can just pay, you can tap down like 2 creatures and help pay for the cost that way too. It has Flying, Vigilance, and Haze, so it's good like Voltron stats for sure. And then whenever you cast another spell that has Convoke, scry 2, then draw a card. So that's the payoff for Convoke matters. So this is why you would play a Convoke deck, because you get to draw cards. That's the main payoff over here. So that's really sweet. And I'm assuming there's going to be brand new cards that either give your stuff Convoke or give more payoffs for Convoking. Also stuff that untaps would be really sweet too. So cards that I think are going to be really sweet. Cards that generate more tokens, so more things that you can tap to Convoke, like Monastery Mentor is going to be really good. And then Convoke spells that you would play anyway in like a go wide token deck like Benny Brax to draw obscene amounts of cards, or Clever Concealment, which is just a fantastic way of protecting your entire board from anything, including like exile effects. Those are going to just be great with Kasla. They just become even better. And then, like I said, any way of mass untapping all your creatures. You're not in green, so you don't have Seedborn Muse, but you have stuff like Village Bellringer, I believe. It's a white card that can untap all your creatures. White has a lot of ways of untapping, and mass untapping things means more Convoking things, so that was going to be super fun. So those are all 5 of the brand new face commanders. As we see more commander cards, I'm going to have more videos coming out. But the other cool thing about these decks is they come with Planechase as an optional rule set. So for those who don't know, Planechase is another sort of multiplayer format where you start with a planar deck. Either everybody brings at least 10 planar cards per person at the table. So if it's a 4-player game, you want to have 40 planar cards as your planar deck. Or one person just brings the planar deck themselves. It doesn't really matter. You randomize all the cards, you put them in a deck, and then it has a special Planeswalk ability. Whenever you Planeswalk, you take the top card of your planar deck and you put it on the battlefield. You can't blow up the plane, you can't really target. It's kind of like an emblem essentially, and it has a global effect, and then it has a triggered ability. So the global effect of Esper, for example, the Plane of Alara, says artifact spells cost 1 less to cast. So for everybody at the table, now your artifacts cost 1 less. Then you have something called a planar die. Each person has one. The first time you roll the planar die on your turn, it's free. It doesn't cost any mana. And Either you hit the planeswalk symbol, which means you move to a different plane. You put the plane that's currently active, you put it on the bottom of your planar deck, and then you just reveal a top planar card from your planar deck, and you put it onto the battlefield. Or you can hit another side of the dice, which is the Chaos side. And the Chaos side basically allows you to trigger the super cool ability, beneficial ability of the plane. So for example, for Esper, the cards are sideways for me. I'm going to fix it in post, but for me, I'm going to awkwardly tilt my head and read it. Whenever chaos ensues, creatures you control that are white, blue, and or black become artifacts in addition to their other types until end of turn. Then each artifact creature you control gains vigilance, menace, and lifelink until end of turn. So obviously, this is very beneficial for an Esper style deck, white, blue, black, that's creature focused, and ideally if it's artifact focused too, that's really, really good. So if you're a artifact deck that meets those criteria, you're gonna love Esper, right? Your spells are gonna cost less and everything like that, but your opponents probably do not want you to be on this plane. They want to get on a plane that they prefer. So they're going to be trying to planeswalk off the plane, while you're going to be just trying to focus to hit that chaos as much as possible to get more value out of it. So the first roll of the planar dice is free, like I said, and then I believe if you want to roll again, it costs 1 mana, and it's cumulative. Like the first roll is 1 mana, then the second roll is 2 mana and 3 mana and so on for your turn, and then it resets on your next turn. But yeah, that's basically the gist of Planechase and planar decks and stuff. I might get the details wrong. I've never played it before. It sounds really sweet. And they did announce on the stream just now that these cards, or Planechase, is like an optional rule set that comes with these pre-constructed decks. I don't know how much I'm allowed to reveal about my deck yet, that they have not mentioned yet. So just to keep things on the safe side, let's just say that that's basically all the information we have right now, okay? I don't want to get in trouble, all right? So I'm not going to reveal anything extra in this video. All right, so that's basically it for the Face Commanders. They're really, really sweet. I'm super stoked to get my hands on these. I'm super stoked to try out this planar variant. However it works, I don't know. But yeah, as we get more Commander cards from March of the Machines, I'm going to be covering them here on this channel. So if you don't want to miss out on the sweet new stuff, be sure to like and subscribe so you never miss a new video. That's all for now, and until next time, friends. See ya!